welcome to this meeting of the Board of Education of the Oshkosh Area School District for Wednesday, October 22nd, 2014 at 6 p.m. As this meeting was properly noticed.
Yes, it has.
Please call the roll.
Lido?
Here.
Clausen?
Here.
Garner? Herzog?
Here.
Limburger?
Here.
Saginaw? Here. Wiedenhoff?
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right. Tonight we will be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Jacob Vianola and Matthew Crawford. If you'd please stand and join them in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our two representatives are from Smith Elementary tonight. I want to thank you both for coming and leading us in the pledge. And for your leadership, we have a certificate of appreciation for both of you. And as I often say to those who come and lead us, you are welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but it is not a requirement. So, if you'd rather go home and go to bed, it's thank you. Good job, boys. Next, the superintendent's report.
Yes. Good evening, and this evening's superintendent's report for October 22nd, 2014. First of all, October at Jefferson Elementary, the PBIS Recognition Day for students following the Jefferson Way included a number of activities. A number of activities that also focused on the United Way. So far, Jefferson has raised some $1,578 for the United Way, with 20 staff members contributing. And the Technology and Learning Report. Teachers use their iPads during literacy to record prior knowledge, make predictions, and practice reading strategies. Students share with their responses, and classmates also using iPads. At Oshkosh West, the O'Neill National Honor Society came to help Oakwood elementary students carve pumpkins, create Halloween crafts as part of the PTO's annual pumpkin walk. Over 100 pumpkins were lighted along the Sheldon Nature Trail for all to enjoy. South Park students participated in International Walk to School Day on Wednesday, October 8th. Students who walked to school earned prizes, were entered into a raffle for more opportunities to win. Students also walked around the block during homeroom, and in lunch they had the chance to walk or run with athletes at UW Oshkosh soccer, cross country, and track teams from those teams. And many students also took the time to tour the Oshkosh Police Department's new command and community outreach vehicle. We appreciate everyone's help in making the day a success. Special thanks to the East Central Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission for supplying the school with the raffle prizes. Green Meadow Elementary over at Tipler Middle School, 5th grade Green Meadow students spent much of their first week of school doing different experiments and learning about the science process. For each experiment, they needed to perform every step in the scientific process. The final experiment was the oblique. The cornstarch water mixture had all of the students trying to solve a problem as to whether the oblique is a liquid or a solid. In the end, they learned that the oblique had characteristics of both and is considered a non-Newtonian substance. Is that correct,
Yes,
Dr. Limburger?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. In true team spirit, Oshkosh West lunch ladies proudly wear their shirts advertising keep calm and let the lunch lady handle it. If you in each of our cafeterias that I stop in and visit our food service, we have some of the greatest humor both in our food service servers as well as our cooks, and that's indicative of that outstanding relationship with students. Tipler Middle School. Perry Tipler's pals, partners in learning. This year, PALS, the Women's Service League, members of the organization are coming to Tipler once a month to build relationships with girls at 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. The women are building relationships by organizing a book club, discussing social media, and talking to students about future career plans. The 100 Books Before Kindergarten initiative. This year, Idra Gibson and Jessica Kelly are encouraging early literacy in their 4th grade classrooms in a fun way by joining in the 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten initiative with the help of Julie Rude. The program encourages families to read 1,000 books with their children before he or she enters kindergarten. One of the best ways to encourage learning is to read or to spend time sharing books every day. Reading together helps develop important pre-reading skills that provide a solid reading foundation. This is key to school and learning success. It also instills a love of reading at an early age. The students are growing as readers by keeping track of the number of books they read together, as well as being rewarded for each 100 books read. We will celebrate their accomplishments by rewarding them with a book to keep. We look forward to watching them bloom. Quite the activity. Merrill Middle School students tour AP Nonweiler and Musa Middles. 2 buses of 8th grade students enrolled in engineering classes at Merrill Middle School learned about the unique coatings and manufacturing metal fabrication services that are literally being made just down the street from their school at AP Nonweiler and at Musa Metal Products. In addition, they are shown examples of the diverse career opportunities available at these 2 manufacturers and the type of training necessary to be successful. The Downtown Rotary and the Oshkosh Chamber of Commerce are sponsoring tours of middle school students taking engineering classes as part of the Manufacturing Month this October. And where do you sign up? South Park Middle School, in collaboration with PTN, decided to do something a little different this year. During parent-teacher conferences, they decided to have a club night to which students and parents aware of different clubs and students, sports and students can be a part of the South Park. Advisors, coaches, and students from their organizations make a poster board that the PTN provided to have on display. Sign-up sheets were also available so students could get a jump on getting involved if they were interested. Any student who had signed up for the club activity was entered into the drawing for a Target gift card from the PTN. Lastly, you have a list of events and activities that superintendent's been participating in the last 2-week period. With that, completes my report, President Wiedenhoff.
All right, thank you very much. Are there other reports from board members?
Education Committee met on Thursday, October 9th. There was not a public forum. The meeting was short and sweet and focused on high school course additions, deletions, and modifications, which Julie Mosier presented. She provided a grid of the summary of all the changes. Some of the course changes include family and consumer science changes due to a prerequisite change by the DPI and Fox Valley TC requirements. Math in partnership with business will be new. This is an IT career pathway class. Business is having a few courses that are being deleted, including some of the career choices class. Some of the changes in revamping is being made to other classes as well. Web page design 2 is being deleted, but they are adding a more up-to-date course in the 16-17 school year. English 2 has evolved into a world literature course. English 21st Century Communication 1012 is making a change in the grade levels so they can run the course more effectively. There is also an E-Academy edition being offered of English for technical writing. Phi-Ed Outdoor Adventure is being removed. The district is looking into a possible grant, so this course will be put on hold for a few years. Technology is incorporating 3 Fox Valley TC courses, and a full list of these course deletions and modifications will be brought today, should be in the packet for you to review and vote on.
All right, thank you very much. Are there other board members? Mr. Dito?
Policy and governance met on October 14th. We discussed a number of things.
The first thing on the agenda was Policy 170, which had to do with board meetings. That was brought back. There was some suggestion that we change our meetings from the second and fourth Wednesday to the first and third Monday. After a lively discussion, it was decided that we were just going to leave the schedule as is. We also discussed Policy 374, student fundraising activities. This was a WASB critical update. I'd just like to say that at the beginning of the year, I think we had 42 WASB pointed out that we had 42 policies that were either critical or mandated that we need to deal with, and we're definitely on track to have those all taken care of by the end of the year. That policy of fundraising is was pushed out of committee, and you guys will be voting on that this evening, as well as Policy 375, Student Activities Fund Management, Policy 751, Student Transportation Services, which was also a critical update, 840, Gifts and Donations, and Student Discipline 447 was also a critical update. Those are all on the agenda this evening for your perusal and vote. And we will be meeting, the next two meetings of Policy and Governance will be on Mondays because they're a conflict with some executive administration meetings on Tuesdays when we usually have them. So they'll be on Monday, November 10th and Monday, December 8th, both at 9:30 a.m. And the public is invited to come to those if they wish.
All right, thank you very much. Any other committees? Seeing none, we will move on to our non-agenda related public forum. Is there anyone who wishes to speak tonight on a subject that is not on tonight's agenda? Seeing none, we will move on to agenda-related public forum. Is there anyone who wishes to speak tonight on an item that is on tonight's agenda? All right, seeing none, we will move on to workshop number 1, budget update. Sue Schnorr.
I apologize that there was nothing in the board packet about this. No excuses, I just didn't have time to do it. The information didn't all come down until about Wednesday, but I still apologize for not having anything in the board packet for this. These are basically the revenue limit variables that we were waiting on to finalize the budget. Our pupil count, the third Friday pupil count, this isn't the actual number of head count, this is the number of FTE that we use in the revenue limit formula. That's down 95 students from September of a year ago. So the number we used in the revenue limit formula a year ago, September, is down 95 students. It doesn't affect our budget this year because DPI has a provision in the revenue limit formula. It's called a declining enrollment exemption. So if you're declining, it holds you harmless that year from the previous year. And I was projecting a decline of 50 students. So the fact that we declined by 95 students doesn't hurt us this year, but it'll hurt us next year. So it takes a rolling 3-year average. So over the next 3 years, we're hurt by this decline, but we're not hurt from what I projected to now by this decline. Equalized values, they actually increased for a change by 0.5%, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it does impact our mill rate by 5 cents. So overall, it does have a mill rate effect on our mill rate that it went up. Our equalized aid, as you read in the paper, is up. It's up $306,000 from what I projected that was in the budget hearing and budget book, and it's up a whopping $600,000 from 13-14, which is about 1.16% from last year. This isn't new money to spend under the revenue limit formula. If you get more state aid, you have to lower your tax levy. If you get less state aid, you can raise your tax levy. So this isn't additional money for the district to spend. It just affects our tax levy. And then I just put computer aid. Between the two of those, that's what affects the tax levy, but the computer aid isn't a significant amount, but it is up from what I projected, and it's also increased over last year. So then this makes our proposed tax levy, without the energy exemption borrowing, to be up 5.8%, and in the budget book I projected 6.5%. So from a dollar standpoint, it's lower. And then the mill rate impact between the levy being lower and the equalized value is going up. The mill rate impact is considerably lower. It's 49 cents versus in the budget book I projected 59 cents. So it's a 5.3% increase in the mill rate instead of a 6.5% increase in the mill rate as I projected at the budget hearing. With the energy borrowing, I'm still waiting for a call from our financial consultant at PMA. I put in here the full amount of the first year debt service payment, and I really need to confirm with her. You levy for only the payment for the year you're in and the fall of the next year. So I need to just confirm with her that I'm using the right number. So this number could vary a little bit, but this is the high number. It won't be any higher than this. Might be a little lower, but this is the high number based on the projections that I have right now. But again, I have to confirm with her that I'm truly using the right number. So this increases our debt service payment in Fund 38 by $761,000. But that is a 16-cent impact on the mill rate, which is what we've been saying all along, is that the energy exemption will have a 16-cent effect on the mill rate. So from the last slide to this side, from 49 cents to 65 cents is the impact of the energy exemption. And again, Friday night at the close of business on Friday will be the end of the 30 days. And next week we'll act on some changes to the budget, but really the only major changes are we are getting $1,016,934 this year for a TIF settlement. That will come sometime in October, probably by the end of October. So we'll adjust the budget to include that as revenue, but then we'll put that same amount in as expenditures for the Lakeside Edition. And then we anticipate getting another $1.3 million approximately in 15-16. So that'll be in the fall of 15. Yes, make sure I say the right years. That'll be in the fall of 15, and so then the second half of the Lakeside expenditures will fall in the 15-16 school year, along with the second TIF settlement in 15-16. The other one is we will amend Fund 47 to show receiving the $14.5 million in revenue from the energy exemption borrowing and spend approximately half of that in the first summer. So summer of 15 we'll be spending half of the 14.5 and then spending the remaining 7.5 in the second year. Now we will be making a few minor other changes for grants and a few things that were missed in the preliminary budget, but I'll outline those for you before in the packet for next Wednesday.
Under the formula, when we do something like this with the TIF payout that you're saying is coming this October, right? Mm-hmm. If this is spent on the Lakeside Edition, does the formula look at this like as an expenditure so that we get shared revenue on this as well?
No, we won't get aided on it at all because it'll offset the TIF money. If it was any other year, the TIF money would actually reduce our shared cost. So I'm hoping that our expenditures are really close to the revenue so that our aid isn't skewed.
Okay.
But if we start the project in early spring as projected, I'm hoping we can expense approximately, it doesn't have to be right on the dime, but approximately the same amount of expenditures and revenue. Because unfortunately that TIF payment will lower our expenditures for aid purposes.
And it would be noted that if we are on the completion date, the second portion of that would be, I'm sure, billable by the contractor and architects and due and payable sometime in the fall of 2015.
Right.
And as a point of clarification for members of the board and community, this is now actually the 16th discussion of budget in the last 10 months.
So that's all I have for you this evening. So, do you have any questions?
Questions? None? Thank you very much.
So again, just a reminder, next Wednesday, we will have actually 4 motions on the agenda. We will have to approve the McKinn Street contract. We will have a resolution approving the energy exemption to the revenue limit formula. You'll approve major changes or changes to the 14-15 budget, and you'll approve the tax levy for 14 and 15. So
All right.
Thank you.
All right, that leaves us with the consent resolution agenda. For the consent agenda, the board has been furnished with the background material on each item or has discussed it at a previous meeting. These will be acted upon with one vote without discussion. If the board member wants to discuss any item, it will be pulled out of the consent agenda and will be voted on separately. Please pull number 10. Is there anything else that anyone wishes to pull?
Number 13, please.
Number 13.
Number 8.
Number 8. Anything else? All right. The board will consider approval of, oh, actually, I need a motion. Oh, no, I need to read it first, excuse me. The board will consider approval of 1, minutes of September 24th, 2014 regular board meeting, 2, minutes of September 24th, 2014 executive session of regular board meeting, 3, minutes of October 8th, 2014 regular board meeting, 4, minutes of October 8th, 2014 executive session of regular board meeting, 5, bills payable, 6, personnel, A, appointments, resignations, retirements, and salary schedule, 7, high school course addition, deletion, and modifications, 9, health insurance carrier for 2015, 11, updates to policy 375, student activities funds management, 12, update to policy 751, student transportation services, and 14, update to policy 447, student discipline.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll.
Wiedenhoff?
Aye.
Wiedenhoff, Diavito?
Aye.
Vito, aye. Eliason?
Aye.
Eliason, aye. Garner? Herzog?
Aye.
Herzog, aye. Lemberger?
Aye.
Lemberger, aye. Saginaw?
Aye.
Saginaw, aye. Motion carried.
Number 8. Be resolved that the Oshkosh Area School District Board of Education approve restoring longevity movements for athletic coaches effective with the 2014-15 school year, as filed with the Secretary to the Board of Education.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
I'd ask to have this pulled. Since the topic was first brought forward, I've had a question about this specific initiative, as well as maybe the broader topic of our athletic allocation in the district. And that quandary is, not in any way are our coaches worth a great deal and do a great deal of good work, not are the students well served by the program, not are, the question is not are we doing good things or not with that with those programs. And certainly our athletic directors would be in that camp as well. But what I wrestled with is the notion of, spreading out this allocation to something on the order of 50 coaches, so the net effect to each person is comparatively small, and yet the aggregate amount is enough that I wonder if we can't open up the world to all of our students in some big way, and things you've heard from me before, like downhill or alpine skiing, or rowing, or open water swimming, or Milwaukee Art Museum, or a trip across Lake Michigan, or some of these big, potentially life-changing experiences that could maybe reach every student at a grade level. And so that's the quandary that I have. And so maybe I'm bringing this forward today, not so much in opposition to taking care of our coaches who work tirelessly and endlessly for a comparatively small stipend, but maybe inviting the conversation on athletic spending in general. Can we be more effective with that budget allocation without compromising the programs, without getting rid of programs? So can we distribute those funds in maybe a broader footprint? And that's the question. I think of on one end of the scale is the German model, right, of club sports. I'm not suggesting we're there, we should go there, but it should maybe be a part of the conversation. So I simply bring it forward to that end.
Other discussion? No? No one have anything to add to?
I'm just thinking. So, just for clarification, what you're saying is, I heard two things. One was something about club sports, which is another issue, but then there was also a suggestion that maybe this money could be allocated not for a club sport, but maybe for some other kind of experience, alpine skiing, something like that.
Exactly, John. Fill in the blank, right? Mm-hmm. Alpine skiing, cross-country skiing, whatever some great outdoor experience might be that would reach, say, 750 students at the 8th grade level, for example. I'm concerned mostly about those students, I suppose, that aren't inclined to be on the competitive athletics track, which might represent a significant portion of a given grade level, and arguably maybe the students who need those sorts of experiences the most. And so is there a more effective allocation of these dollars? And I struggle because what that means is it doesn't go to the coaches' stipends, which I really struggle with, because I think, every indication that I've gotten in my time on the board is that, our athletic people are doing a fantastic job, and our students are being well served by those folks.
I understand, though, obviously you should be congratulated for the work you've done to bring the sailing program to us and other things, and I am completely aware of the endless struggle you've had to fund those initiatives here in the district, and I certainly understand where you would see $25,000 and think that you could perhaps hit more students with it through a different venue.
Thanks, Matt. For the record, that's not where I was going with this. But
Oh.
Thank you. But I'm thinking of Dr. Eric Snotlik, for example, who's leading the skate club. On just a couple of $1,000s, right, reaching a pretty significant student count of Webster Stanley. And you replicate that throughout the district, and $25,000 would really reach our students. And that's where it stops for me. I don't know where to go from there, but I just sort of share that observation.
Your comments are, excuse me, I view your comments as very thoughtful and well spoken, because when we look perhaps more broadly and tie what you're suggesting, that is physical activity, to the taught curriculum in the classroom, I see a lot of connections, and the ability to build language and build life experiences and language experiences for all kids. And I think you're primarily talking about elementary, unless I'm misreading your statements.
That's a great place to start.
Perhaps we need a workshop item on this, or maybe some discussion at the Education Committee as to how something like this might take root and bloom, to borrow a word from one of the superintendent's slides earlier tonight, because I think there really is a place for broadening the horizons of students, giving them more life experiences that they might not otherwise get. When the English as a Second Language program, which I believe is now called the English Language Learner Program, came into being in the 1980s, we did quite a bit of work to try to expand the vocabularies and the language experiences of those particular students, believing that would benefit those students as well as other students in the community. And where some of those students did not have access to experiences that other kids might have, like ice skating and so on, we were able to provide those or similar experiences to that group of kids who were by and large left out. And so when we think about who's left out, in this case, interscholastic athletics, although we do have a large percentage of our students who do participate, so I don't want to downplay that. But there are some of us who, had there been interscholastic sports when we were in high school, probably would not have been part of those teams. So, what about those teams, especially in this day and age of an emphasis on increased physical activity for all of us, the Way to the Fox Valley coming out of a United Way initiative in Appleton, Neenah, Menasha, and Oshkosh, and changes in the school lunch program so that our treats are more nutrition friendly. To me, this could all tie together into a more synthesized approach to a bigger view from 30,000 feet up.
I agree. Just oddly enough, late this afternoon, one of my students at the university stopped by my office and was telling me about his summer where he'd gone to Europe for a little while, and how that just completely opened up his thinking about things. And giving our K-12 students that opportunity in some way. I'm not saying we're going to send them all to Europe, but in some other way maybe, I think is something we should really think about. But probably tonight isn't the night to discuss it. I think I'd like to put that on maybe the Education Committee agenda.
Yep, just email Sherry, and feel free to put it on. I think I see two issues I definitely get your quandary, because it does sometimes seem that we cut out other programs, but certain sports continue to, kind of drive the sports programs a lot of times. And I know from my own learning as a parent in the district that a lot of that is about what monies those sports bring in. I learned that many years ago. That it's also connected to money in this society. Some sports bring in more money than others, and we got to be honest. It's a lot about the dollar. So I see the quandary in terms of the opportunities that we provide students. So I see that as one issue. How can we provide more, and all of what you just mentioned, and how can we support salaries and stipends? I kind of see two issues there. Both are somewhat out of whack, in terms of what all we offer students, and then how we're able to support salaries and stipends. So,
Steve, I applaud what you're saying as well. I've struggled with this from a different perspective for quite a while. The competitive sports program in general is awesome, but realistically, how many adults actually take this forward and use this in the future at some point when they're 25, 35, 45? Are they still playing football or baseball? Whereas some of the other ideas out there, some of the other offerings, like cross-country skiing or skating or something like this, is something that people could be doing decades into their adult life. And I think to introduce students to those opportunities is something, if we can explore doing that and somehow find a way to do that, I'd be all in support of something like that.
This reminds me a little bit of a program that was either in La Crosse or Onalaska, I can't remember, many years ago, called School on the River, where they took kids on lots of interesting experiences like overnight camping and that sort of thing. And they had some grant money, but a lot of it was community supported. And, maybe Julie, if you could see if there's anything on the School on the River from that area before the Education Committee, that would be great. I don't know if they're still running it.
we used to have the trees program. Remember?
Yeah.
Trees for Tomorrow. That was so cool.
Hi, good evening. A couple different things. A lot of the things that you're talking about, some of our teachers are already proposing and looking at getting at through our curriculum. For example, one of the courses that was taken off the table was outdoor adventure experiences, because that's going to be a course that we think will have, great interest, but we want to look at how does that fit into our curriculum and what we're doing K through 12, especially through our physical education curriculum. And we're looking at going after having a plan and having very strategically laid out what the curriculum map is, so that we can go after grant funding that will actually help support those types of activities. In addition, you're going to notice that one of the course modifications that was in there for PE was one of the options they can choose is lifetime activities. So we're definitely going in that direction. And there's ways that we can get at it through the curriculum, but what it sounds like is there's times that it can't get out through the curriculum. We want to look at it from like a club or a club/sport type perspective, and that's going to need to take a broader conversation. I think Education Committee is a great place to have that conversation, because there's going to be curriculum overlap, but then there's also going to be looking how does that include outside of the school day. So an excellent spot, and then also looking how does that fit into our strategic plan. I think that fits perfectly into Goal 5A, where we're looking at partnering with the community to broaden and bring in those skills in addition to Goal 5D. So as we look at that, making sure it's aligned to the strategic plan, how does it look at with K-12 curriculum, because where is that going to be inserted within our offerings, but then also how do we look at it from a club perspective. So Education Committee is a perfect spot to have a really in-depth conversation.
Perfect. And President Wiedenow, Steve and I had an extensive discussion this afternoon relating to this issue, and I fully agree with the goal and the content of the direction that Steve is going. I, however, did point out to Steve and would point out to all of our board members as well as the community is that we run the lowest cost per student athletic program in our competitive area with athletic conference. Our cost per student of what we expend per student is the lowest at all. We charge basically the highest participation fee and we have to somehow charge that higher participation fee because we also have more students who qualify for exemption because of free and reduced expenditure. Our two athletic directors spend, I would imagine, upwards of 30 to 40% of their time working with sponsors to subsidize our athletic programs, which unfortunately is a far in excess of what they should be having to do in working with corporate sponsors to sponsor particular events or for contributions for signage, scoreboards, all of those activities. And I probably attend, other than the two activities directors, I think I attend more events in the community than anybody else. And Barb is very close, if not right there, on the issue of maybe not football games, but the extracurricular activities are there, and we're frequently in the audience. And the reality is that if we are going to remain in our status and want to maintain our status of being a district of choice, we have to remain competitive in order to attract and hold on to students, because families look to these activities as being a crucial sign, along with academics, of delivering on the promise for their children. And for us to, and I'm amazed at what we produce and the success we have, not just from the standpoint of winning, but from the success of engagement. That's really, to me, the most important level. And I watch with even when teams aren't being successful, the enthusiasm, the support, the engagement, and the involvement of families and parents celebrating together, whether it's a football game or a soccer game, or the joy that parents express with their children after concerts, of enjoying those activities. For us to diminish those will not allow us our mission of being a district of choice, because the world is not ready for a district to walk away from these activities in our communities. And I'm amazed with what we end up having for so little expenditure, and to hold on to coaches and advisors. And I know a fair number of those more senior coaches. I'm amazed at their dedication, and for me, I strongly advise the board to continue trying to fix our compensation plan, including the coaches, simply because we are in a position of trying to hold it together and turn around both spirit and attitude. And these individuals contribute greatly to that part of our school society, of being positive engagers with young people in the community at rates that are certainly rate per hour less than minimum wage.
Actually, if you want to look at our athletic budget, simply compare us to Wausau. It's an incredible difference between those two.
Right.
Steve, this is on the table. It's is there somewhere you want to go with this tonight?
No, this is exactly what I want to do tonight, really, is have the conversation and sort of map out a way forward, and I want to thank everyone for that very thoughtful conversation. That's great.
Please call the roll.
Vito?
Aye.
Vito, aye. Eliason?
Aye.
Eliason, aye. Garner? Herzog?
Aye.
Herzog, aye. Lemberger?
Aye.
Lemberger, aye. Saganag?
Aye.
Saganag, aye. Wiedenhoff?
Aye.
Wiedenhoff, aye. Motion carries.
Resolution number 10, be resolved the Oshkosh Area School District Board of Education approve changes to policy 374, student fundraising activities, as filed with the Secretary of the Board of Education.
So moved.
Second.
All right, I actually asked to pull this one only to ask a question I didn't have a chance to ask prior, which is I noticed that the information talked about accompanied by a 16-year-old or an adult, and I saw that pieces of the state statute had been put into here, but that piece was not. I just wanted to make sure that you meant to do it that way and that it wasn't simply an oversight.
Are you asking me?
Oh, yeah. Asking whoever might have the answer.
I think
I guess
Sue-
I was
oh.
more concerned about the written permission part than that part. Because we didn't address that part at all in the previous policy. I didn't think about that, to be honest with you. I was more concerned about the written permission part.
Okay, if someone's looking at our policy and we're trying to align our policy with the Wisconsin state statute, my only thought was that if the principal who is going to be reviewing or voting in favor or against something like this isn't aware of that piece of the puzzle, might we have kids going door to door unaccompanied at an age less than 12 or 9?
That's true. We could add it. I just didn't think of it.
Okay. Yes. I mean, is there other discussion about this?
Well, I mean, we can take it back to P&G too if you want to just clean it up.
Or could we just amend it to add that language now?
That would be fine too.
It didn't
Well-
get picked up because it wasn't in the previous version of the
Yeah,
Right.
I don't know that you want, the only reason I wasn't thinking about amending it now is because I don't have anything spelled out in front of me, like I sometimes do, I guess, to add in as a clip. And if you wanted to take a moment and decide where the best spot to put that would be, I wouldn't mind having it.
Well, the paragraph right before the one, or so the bottom of the page, it does say that students in grades K through 8 are prohibited from conducting door-to-door solicitations in the community.
Okay.
But what was the, unfortunately, I don't have the copy of the statute in front of me, so
The statute is,
the paragraph you were
a
reading.
minor under 12 years of age may work.
I think it's stapled to the version,
Each
at least the
minor
one
must
that's distributed to us.
Is the nonprofit organization of the tribal school, each minor under 9 years of age or each group containing one or more minors under 9 years of age must be physically accompanied by a parent or person at least 16 years of age.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I would have just assumed that our principals would do that, but we could add that paragraph between the safety, we could add some of that language between the safety of children on the door-to-door and where I say that permission must be in writing,
Do we want to do that tonight, or do you want to bring it back?
whatever is your,
Would you prefer to take this back to P&G?
With the number of activities and making sure that, fundraisers are underway, I think you need to lay it, I think it'd be wise if we understood that we inserted that language.
Then do we want to insert, I guess, word for word, B?
sure.
You would say
Sure.
basically that sentence, each minor under 9 years of age, or each group containing one or more minors under 9 years of age must be physically accompanied by a parent or a person of at least 16 years of age.
Is that in the form of an amendment?
Yes,
can't do it.
I can't.
I would move as a friendly amendment.
Why don't you mind just saying?
Hold on just a
I don't-
second.
What do you mean,
Well, I was just saying to Sue, it looks like the paragraph where they're prohibited from doing it will be in conflict with the next paragraph if you put in that have to be accompanied by adults. It looks like they're going to be in conflict with each other to me. That would just be my take on it off the top, and I only just looked at it while you're meeting here, so
One is a strict prohibition, and the other one creates an exemption for accompanied by adults.
You probably better go back.
Yep.
Okay, well, actually, maybe I didn't read it right in the first place. If we have a strict prohibition against that, well, except the statute actually isn't talking about door-to-door in that case. It's saying each minor under 9 years of age containing, or each group containing one or more minors must be accompanied. I assume that's not necessarily door-to-door. They could be doing it
I assume
any
you have
fundraiser.
you're going to have a bake sale. You just don't have a bunch of kids at the bake sale at the mall. You have an adult with them. And I would hope that that's a practice that we would follow now. But you're right, it's not in policy.
So I'm assuming that the two don't necessarily they're not mutually exclusive necessarily.
We could look at it and bring it back next month. I have no problem with that. I would hope we're not letting students under 9 fundraise on their own in practice anyway, but it's something we could definitely add.
Could I ask for an amendment then, excuse me,
I move that it's sent back to policy and governance at the next meeting for revision.
Second.
So, they come back at the next meeting.
yes.
Eliason?
Aye.
Eliason, aye. Garner? Kurtolo?
Aye.
Kurtolo, aye. Lumberger?
Aye.
Lumberger, aye. Saginaw?
Aye.
Saginaw, aye. Wiedenhoff?
Aye.
Wiedenhoff, aye. Vito?
Aye.
Vito, aye. Motion carries.
Resolution number 13, be resolved, the Oshkosh Area School District Board of Education approve changes to policy 840, gifts, donations to the school as filed with the Secretary of the Board of Education.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to ask this question earlier. First of all, I think it was wonderful that this policy came up for review because it's been around since 1999, since its last revision, so it's probably due for that. I do have a question with regard to the addition, number 4, contributions of supplies, equipment, or services should adhere to the philosophy, district strategic plan priorities, policies, and objectives of the district. I'm a little unclear, and I don't see it in the references at the bottom. If I were with a parent group or PTN and we wanted to donate something to the district, where would I find the philosophy of the district, the objectives of the district, the priorities of the district? I know where I'd find the policies. I know where I'd find the strategic plan, but I'm not sure where I'd find the philosophy, priorities, and objectives. And I'm wondering if they should be cross-referenced in here. Maybe they're not in policy, but where would a person find them? I'm just curious.
I looked at several other sample policies, and that line was in one, and I
think
just
it's a
thought it
great
sounded
line.
good. But maybe all of that's covered in the strategic plan. I mean,
I don't know. I'm just
Might I suggest that?
Just asking.
Yeah, if whatever clarification in the rule, that would be as a result of consulting with the building administrator in charge or the executive director or the director. I'm envisioning the district expense of having the wonderful donation, which might have been very great 25 years ago, of 22 VCRs and or television monitors, of which the district would then assume the responsibility for paying for its disposal. Those are the kind of examples of things that in another day and another era would have been wonderful to receive, but today would simply become a liability for the district. And but I think it's an excellent question, of which potentially, and I don't see the attached rule, our administrative procedures maybe to be clarified in administrative procedures.
Do you want it stated more as vision and mission statements, which are defined? I don't know that we have a defined philosophy.
Well, it would seem if a person could go to a single document, we wouldn't
Right.
have to have every principal serving as the interpreter of what that means. And maybe one building would say, we'll take those VCRs because we can use those in the physics class to do this, but in an elementary school, they would have no use for those.
I think that's where we're not going to find one document that defines all of that.
Well, I'm looking for something broad that would fit.
That would be the vision or the mission. I remember
Yeah.
we did that
That
a
would
couple
work.
of years ago.
I mean,
We did
I'm
that.
just trying to give
and
some guidance to whoever has something that they want to donate.
We did all that.
Strategic plan makes sense to me, the policies make sense. I'm just not clear where someone would find the philosophy, the priorities, and the objectives.
Because we haven't really used that language. I hear a language issue.
I
that
guess
it's
that's what
not
I'm
really
saying, right.
aligning with the language
Right.
that we use in terms of vision, mission, strategic plan. But whether or not it goes to one document or not,
Or it could be several documents.
Right.
I just would like to have some guidance there for people who are thinking about donating, to make it clear. And that could be handled in a rule, or it could be handled by substituting language as you're suggesting, I think, mission and vision.
Because
I'm not sure what's appropriate.
I would think that in rule, both the stated contacts of individual or position to be contacted for clarification of those pieces, and that document also then could serve as a sign-off for the district for anybody who's donating something that wishes to have a tax deduction verification as a result of the donation, and it could be combined in one. And if you allocate our responsibility to come back with a rule attachment that would cover that area and clarify that, may be helpful. And we can bring that back to the board to share how we would inform the board on that issue.
Are you moving to postpone, or are you moving to amend?
I would lean to amend at this point. I mean, to postpone, I'm sorry, to postpone. Because I'm not sure what the right language would be, where you would find what the intent here would be. Probably mission and vision, because those exist.
I kind of like the wording, actually. I mean, the concept of having policies that would adhere to the policies of the district, that's not really included within the mission and vision statement. And the concept there is, if you have a policy that's prohibitive of, like, weapons or something, even if it's in a gun club situation, like they used to have things like that, or archery or whatever, if it's in violation of a policy that we have currently, we can't accept your gift if it's going to be a liability issue. And if we have policies that objectively stake that out, set that out, I think that having the term policy in there is a good one. I could see
Well, I
where
think it's
this would be.
philosophy more.
Yeah,
Philosophy,
I
and I don't think she has a problem
No, I
with
don't have a problem
policy.
with philosophy or strategic plan. Those are,
it's the language we use.
Right.
That's,
Those are
I think it's a
concrete.
language piece. We don't really talk about philosophy, and what was the other one?
objectives and priorities.
Right, yeah, we don't really use that language.
So it's
not
just a simple
defined.
tweaking thing that we're
I think
talking
so.
about?
I think
All right.
so.
It's just not defined. So do you wish to make a motion to postpone?
So what if you take out philosophy and put mission and vision, and also take out priorities and objectives, and just leave in mission, vision, strategic plan, and policies?
I can live with that. Because I think people would be able to find concrete.
Those are concrete pieces of paper that we have.
Exactly.
That people know when we talk about all the time.
I do like the language, it's just that I make sure they have something to refer to.
Right. Sure.
Mr. Dieter?
Yes, if we want to make that into an amendment, or
Then do you want to make a motion to amend?
All right?
Can I get a second?
second.
Call the roll on the amendment? I'm sorry?
Is there any discussion?
Oh, discussion? None? Actually, could you read the amendment then?
Contributions of supplies, equipment, or services should adhere to the mission, vision, district strategic plan policies, should be and policies of the district.
Call the roll?
On the amendment, Herzog?
Aye.
Herzog, aye. Lemberger?
Aye.
Lemberger, aye. Saganag?
Aye.
Saganag, aye. Wiedenhoff?
Aye.
Wiedenhoff, aye. Dito?
Aye.
Dito, aye. Eliason?
Aye.
Eliason, aye. Garner? Amendment carried.
All right. Could I get a? Well, I guess we don't need a motion in a second. We already have it. Call the roll on the original amendment, or on the original resolution, please.
Lemberger?
Aye.
Lemberger, aye. Saganag?
Aye.
Saganag, aye. Wiedenhoff?
Aye.
Wiedenhoff, aye. Dito?
Aye.
Dito, aye. Eliason?
Aye.
Eliason, aye. Garner? Herzog?
Aye.
Herzog, aye. Motion carried.
Are there any future agenda items? Does anyone wish to have anything placed on future agendas? No? Steve, anything regarding your discussion earlier?
Well, I think we'll pick it up in Education Committee,
All right.
I think.
Okay.
Thank you.
Announcements? Anyone?
I have two. Next week, I believe, marks the 25th year of a Wisconsin-Hessen sister school project between Oshkosh West High School and the Immanuel Kant Schule of Rüsselsheim, Germany. And once again, there will be a group of Rüsselsheim students and their chaperones who will be visiting Oshkosh, staying in homes of our students. And then next summer, some of our students hopefully will have the opportunity to have a return visit. This project goes back to, I believe, 1989, when West teachers Ed Holliday, Lynn Dudley, and Russ Hoxtel stepped forward and decided that this would be a good thing for Oshkosh students to have the opportunity to take part in a language experience with students from Germany, whether or not they were studying German in one of our high schools. And so I just want to commend those original three teachers and the teachers who have continued to answer the call, including Kay Pikert and Pat Bertram in more recent years, to provide our students with this learning opportunity with another culture. I also want to give a shout out to Jefferson School, as noted in the superintendent's notes for tonight, regarding their United Way efforts. We know that United Way agencies and their programs serve many of the students in our schools and their families, and so to see an entire school staff in front of the school raising funds to help people in the community is outstanding. And I also want to give a shout out to South Park Middle School. They are having a fundraiser for United Way on Halloween over the noon hour with the Ford Focus, which is a incentive for people to participate in the campaign. I understand that teams of staff members from South Park will be looking to push that Ford Focus when it's in neutral with one of the co-chairs of the campaign to see how far and how fast they can push this car. So if you're looking for some entertainment over the noon hour on Halloween, come over to South Park and cheer on the South Park staff. Thank you.
All right. President Wiedenhoff, I would just add that the enthusiasm at Jefferson School regarding the United Way campaign, new principal and staff working together, actually turned in their entire United Way plan and contributions a couple of days before the official kickoff in the school district. They were so driven by the original message back with our convocation and got started that they ran their campaign in September. And I recall distinctly Sherry in our office greeting principal along who brought in the contributions and said, "You are already done. We haven't started the campaign yet." So congratulations to Jefferson for being both efficient, timely, and generous.
Great.
Could I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Sedgwick?
Aye.
Sedgwick, aye. Wiedenhoff?
Aye.
Wiedenhoff, aye. Vito?
Aye.
Vito, aye. Eliason?
Aye.
Eliason, aye. Garner? Herzog?
Aye.
Herzog, aye. Lumberger?
Aye.
Lumberger, aye. Motion carried.
We are adjourned.